I feel the Spirit moving in me. I feel the Spirit moving in me.
It is time for the message of the day. And Christine has been a veteran graduate practitioner with Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith's Agape International Spiritual Center, which I'm sure you've heard of in LA. It's a spinoff of Centers for Spiritual Living, which was religious science, science of mind. So it's the roots of all of us. In the early 1980s, she was inspired by the transformative power of breath for herself and began a conscious, connected breathwork practice called Radiant Breathwork. It's amazing, and it's well worth checking out. And Christine has been a longtime chaplain here at the Unity Church of Maui and continues to be a devoted student of love. So she's going to give us our talk today. Christine Warner.
Thank you, Adam. Okay, so let us start. First, by becoming fully present, if we're not already. Thank you, Mariana Names, for that beautiful prayer. I've had so many beautiful prayers already, I feel like there's really nothing for me to say. We've already gone so deep into what I'm here to do. It's in the silence is where our practice begins. Well, I guess the main purpose for me being here is to encourage everyone, if you don't already, to have a practice. How do we become that channel? Well, we already are. It's always happening. But we can become a part. We can activate and participate in our evolutionary unfoldment, which is why we're all here. It's why we came into a form. It's for this evolutionary unfoldment of our soul, which is happening whether we participate in it or not. It is happening. However, with intentional sitting still and listening, with humility, we open ourselves up to our intuition. And that intuition is the guidance to that which I call God, which gives us excellence. God is the excellence. And don't we want that at greater and greater levels in more and more places in our lives? This is just my security blanket. I have been doing this talk in my head ever since I got the email. It's been kind of crazy making, actually. Do you listen to yourself talk? It's crazy making. How many times does it circle around? So I'm sitting to be still and meditate, to listen, and what I'm listening to is me giving this talk over and over and over again from so many different angles. It's like, God, I can't wait till this is over and I can just sit in the silence again. Be present with the I am presence. So let's get present right now. I want to feel our feet in the floor if you feel comfortable closing your eyes. This is what I do when I sit in my chair. And I sit in the same chair, and it's surrounded by books and study because this is an active part of my life. So we get still. And take a breath. Feel that breath. Be present to how the breath moves through your body. How your lungs expand. How the diaphragm moves up and down. Maybe you feel it in your belly expand. As it moves through your nose, or maybe the exhale through your mouth. Just notice how you breathe. How does your body take in this breath? This breath that may be the only thing that is real. Now hear what you're hearing. What sounds do we hear right now? Can you hear the birds? Breathe and listen at the same time. You hear the traffic. You hear the movement of each of us here in the room. You hear the sound of my voice. I hope you can hear me. And then when you're ready, bringing this presence, you're feeling your seat in the chair, you're feeling the air on your skin, fully present here in your body. When you're ready, open your eyes and bring all of that with you into the room, right where you are. And here we are. Ready to allow surrender to the will of God. This is beyond achieving. This is not visualization. This is not trying to make anything happen. It's not yearning. It's allowing. Surrendering to the will of God, allowing yourself to be an open channel for that excellence to reveal itself in ways far beyond your imagination. It's with this practice of being fully present, just like we were, for a period of time, however long that is, to allow the ideas to drop in, to allow the intuition to reveal itself through you magically, as Marianne said this morning. But it's not magic. It's the divine revealing itself in, through, and as you, which is exactly what you came here to do. But a lot of distractions get in the way. We allow ourselves to be hypnotized by the media. And in doing that, in many cases, we become a victim. And when you're in victim consciousness, it is very difficult to hear the magic. Because you're in a blame game. It's something outside of you that is creating your reality when you're in that hypnotized state. The only way that I know to step out of that, well, there are a couple of ways, but it starts with what we just did. It takes a deep self-analysis to be willing to look at where you're placing blame, at who you're holding hostage. And some of this is easier than others, especially in the times like today. But if it is all God, and if God is love, and love is not an emotion, by the way. Love is the givingness of spirit, withholding nothing. The givingness of spirit. So if God is everything, and God is love, then who's to blame? So the next step is, once you've done that self-analysis, and of course, well, let's say this, then there's the forgiveness step, right? I have to be willing to forgive. It might take a lot of willings. Willing to be willing. It doesn't matter how many. All we need is a chink. All we need is a little chink of light. Just a little one. And that little chink of light opens wider and wider and wider. And it becomes easier and easier. And one of the beautiful things that I learned about breath is one of those things that makes the chink get bigger. As you breathe from your heart space, which is where you took your very first breath in this body. Oh, that's another conversation. Where you imprinted, where your soul was imprinted, that first breath. Won't go there now. Okay, I digress. Oh, but it so wants to come through. That breath opens your heart and allows you to forgive even the unforgivable. In my radiant breathwork practice, I have seen miracles, like amazing, like mind-blowing. People who have had horrific things, almost unimaginable things happen to them, and be able to forgive those people in a way that they could actually participate in each other's lives. I mean, really, I won't go into detail. It's horrific. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to be friends or go to dinner with these people. But it means you no longer hold them hostage, because all forgiveness is self-forgiveness, right? All forgiveness is self-forgiveness. And as that forgiveness, which is the givingness of love, right? The givingness of love, as that opens up, blooms, blossoms, expands, trust develops. Because the other way that we allow the intuition, this excellence, to reveal itself in our lives, we have to trust it. And it's through that trust that we can then have the strength. I won't use the word resilience, Adam. But we can have the strength to step into the fear of saying I'm sorry, of asking that friend, that person we'd like to be friends with, to spend some time with us. Okay, here's a story. I knew I wanted to tell a story. I didn't know what the story was going to be. So when I was in high school, I was an actor. And when I was in high school, there was a role that I really, really wanted. It's called it was a play called The Effect of Gamma Rays on Man in the Moon Marigolds by Paul Zendel. And I wanted the role of Ruth so badly. You know, the way any 15-year-old girl could want a role. And I didn't get it. I was selected as the understudy. And the girl who got the role, Eileen Snow, I made a decision as a 15-year-old girl, was how I felt about her. And I decided, as this young woman, amazing, decided to make her my friend. That I wasn't going to blame her, I wasn't going to hold her hostage, and I wanted to be happy for her, and I wanted the production to be successful. And so I got some tickets for a play at the Coconut Grove Playhouse. This was in Miami. And I invited Eileen Snow to come with me. And we're still friends today. How much courage it took for me as that young girl to ask that woman who took away from me something that I really wanted. Like, really. Like, this was all I ever wanted in life. From, my mother said acting like I was going to be an actress. It's like were the first words out of my mouth. I have continued to practice that, but I know that it takes courage. And when we step into that, I am continually amazed at when I step into those positions, when I say yes, what unfolds from there are lifelong friendships, career changes. How did I get to Maui? I didn't even want to be here. I didn't. Every objection I had was handled. And I just kept saying, okay, lead me. I didn't want to leave Agape. I was deeply immersed at the Agape International Center of Truth. I was teaching in the youth ministry. I was teaching with Reverend Michael. That's when he taught all the classes himself. I didn't want to come to Maui. Michael said, oh no, the Agape of the Pacific is there. This is when Reverend Mary was here. You can serve there. And so I did. I thought I'd be here 3 months. That was 25 years ago. Seriously. So, continuing to surrender, to see where this excellence leads us. Oh, I have all kinds of notes. Along with the chitter-chatter in my head, I was just jotting notes around. So surrender is a good word. Surrender is the word that leads you to excellence. But of course, then there's that little tab that I tagged on the end there, unless you're Dorothy. Unless you're Dorothy. You know the reference I'm referring to, right, in The Wizard of Oz. And it's the wicked witch of the east or the west. Which one dies with the ruby slippers? And the sister gets all upset. Right, it's the wicked witch of the east that passes, right? Oh, that's the good witch of the north. But I don't know. So the other sister is pretty pissed off about the whole thing, and she wants the slippers back. Right? Those beautiful red slippers. And in my mind, and it may have been that movie that inspired me to be an actress as a little girl. In my mind, those red sparkly slippers symbolize our personal power. It symbolizes the spark within us. It symbolizes that silent place that is speaking to us and is our connection to it, which is why the slippers can't come off until you let go of who you are. And of course, we don't want to do that because that's our unification. This is this essence. This is what we've come here for, is to wake up and remember that right within us is this divine spark, symbolized by those ruby slippers. So that's not the surrender we're talking about. We're talking about that which gives us, well, maybe the daily word is right, the courage to step into our next incarnation. What is God's vision for our life? What is our next up-leveling? Surrendering to our next incarnation. That was something that was in my notes. As we commune with God, we're visiting and we're resting in the silence of our soul. And between those chaotic thoughts that arise in that silence, with time and practice, you will hear the only prayer there may be. And that's use me. Make me an instrument. So service is an important part of this soul's evolutionary unfoldment. In that morning time, when I set a timer on my phone, that's how I meditate. I have a chair, I have my books, I study. It's an active part of my daily life, sometimes multiple times during the day. We all have cell phones. I set the timer on my cell phone. Typically it's 20 minutes, But sometimes I don't have that much time. I get caught up in texting and dealing with work stuff, and, people are trying to, and they infringe on my meditation time, and then I have to not get resentful and blame myself and them and circle back. And in those 10 or 20 minutes, I just sit and listen. And I ask myself, my higher self, those ruby slippers are on, what is mine to do today? Who can I serve today? How will my compassion show up today? These are the questions that I ask. Who can I serve today? And sometimes it's small things, sometimes it's big things. And it's amazing when the givingness of the Spirit shows up in the smallest and littlest ways. I helped an elderly gentleman tow his car. I have AAA plus. I'm a single woman. I don't have some guy to call and say, "Can you come help me fix the car?" I have AAA plus. It gives me 4 jumps and all kinds of stuff. And this elderly gentleman had his truck parked Kapakai across a couple parking places, and had been there for a week already in front of my place. And I happened to see him out there and introduced myself. I said, do you know where you're going to take this thing? What do you want to do with it? And so we called AAA. And that's how I was of service that day. It was so thrilled. My neighbors were pretty happy about it too. Really. How can I be of service today? Where can I share my love? And when I walk into the world that way, I notice as if I'm really present. I walk with a smile. Like I got strangers smiling at me. And that's pretty fun to do. Walk through Target with a smile on your face and make some eye contact. That's a trip. People actually, you'll watch their faces shift. It's beautiful. So use me. Participate in your evolutionary unfoldment. Why are you here? Why are you here? That's a really important thing to figure out for yourself. And I'm not necessarily talking about the doingness. But when you get what I'm talking about at that soul level, when you feel that drop in and you really get it, and now you're walking in the world with that awareness, that's a pretty important day. That's almost important as your birthday. Or as Reverend Michael says, your appearance day. Because it's your mama's birthday. But it's the day you appeared and decided you wanted to participate in this evolutionary unfoldment. And if you participate in it actively, like we've been discussing, you will be pulled by it instead of pushed by pain. It will pull you and guide you so that you will miraculously, magically be in the right place at the right time. Just like the song in the beginning. I love that part. I'm in the right place at the right time. And sometimes that's regardless of how it feels. Just saying. And it doesn't feel so good. Let's take some responsibility, step into our awareness. Take a deep breath. Breathe. Notice when you're not breathing. Probably doesn't feel so good. And we want to do this by bypassing the ego entirely. The Course in Miracles, let's do that. The Course in Miracles has a whole chapter on God versus the ego. It's chapter 11. God or the ego. Either God or the ego is insane. If you will examine the evidence on both sides fairly, you will realize this must be true. Neither God nor the ego proposes a partial thought system. It's all or nothing. Each is intentionally consistent, but they are diametrically opposed in all respects, so that partial allegiance is impossible. Remember, too, that their results are as different as their foundations. And their fundamentally irreconcilable natures cannot be reconciled by vacillations between them. Are you following the guidance of your inner soul, that light within you? Or are you following your ego? And we do this humbly. Let's see, what else did I underline? It talks about make the voice of God welcome. Healing is a sign that you want to be made whole, and this willingness opens your ears to the voice of the Holy Spirit. Would you be hostage to the ego or host to God? They can't coexist. That's why we choose the light, because it continues. It obliterates anything unlike itself. When you step into service, when you get that inspiration and those ideas, which will guide you to prosperity. You know, Charles Fillmore talks about that. Prosperity lies in ideas and the action taken and the fulfillment of following that idea that has come through. Right? Charles Fillmore talks about that. You're going into service knowing, this is tricky, how do I put that it doesn't need to be done. You're stepping into a service that doesn't really need to be done, but it's serving you. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? You stepping into service isn't serving something outside of you. That doesn't need to be done. This is like an opportunity for you to be a channel of that love. So it's a delicate balance of holding that. And in doing so, you exalt the whole experience. Because then that person, that Skip who I helped with his truck, was not a victim. It was an opportunity for me, right? When you surrender, the rest will unfold. Have you ever had a vision? Not a dream, not something that was an end goal. Sometimes these dreams are an important part of the path, but they're not necessarily the vision, yet a part of the evolutionary path. So that dream of me being an actress, I hesitate to tell people that. A lot of people don't know that about me because it was such a burning desire. But it was not meant to be, and thank goodness it didn't happen. If I had become a successful actress and you said, oh, what have I seen you in? Which is why I never tell people about it. You may have. But that wasn't what was meant for me to do. That was part of an education. That was part of my evolutionary unfoldment. Not all dreams are to come to their fulfillment. They're part of an evolutionary path. It was because I had that burning desire that I ended up at a voice teacher's class, home, where I was taking private voice lessons. And he had religious sciences version of this, the Science of Mind magazine. And while I was waiting for my class to start, I started reading this, and I went, ooh, this is like what my grandma talked about. I didn't think there was any church that really existed like this. And so I started attending, and it was through that I discovered breath work. in West Hollywood and started working with Louise Hay, and then through that met Reverend Michael and started working through Reverend Michael, and I did all these self-actualization things. All this stuff was just because everybody told me that I'd be able to become a successful actress and I'd get a role in a movie and I'd get an Academy Award. That's what I was doing all that for. Thank God, I'd probably be dead if I got all that. I wouldn't be of service at all. Probably holed up scared to death in a hotel room somewhere doing things I shouldn't be doing. Well, that was fun for a little while, but... So, we let go of our attachments to outcomes. That's a big part of the surrender thing. We know that all paths lead to God, and let go of our pictures of what it's supposed to look like. And we allow it to unfold greater than we could ever. I think that's enough. How long can I go? Oh, okay. Okay, so let's... Course in Miracles, Lesson 223. God is my life. I have no life but this. If you want to get right down to the nitty-gritty, CIM, the Course in Miracles will take you right there. Like, it takes you, like, there's no ambiguity there. God is my life. I'm dedicated to this. Is more important to me than not family, but maybe. I'm not there yet. Right? I'm a work in progress. It's pretty important to me. So, make sure I didn't miss anything. Trust. We talked about trust. You gotta listen to the still small voice. You gotta allow the intuition to guide you. And in God is the excellence. That's a lyric in one of Ricky Byers' songs. Yeah. It's the gravity that holds me together. That's a lyric. In God is the gravity that holds me together. In God is the excellence in which I am spinning. I refer to her songs a lot. Pour yourself in me. Pour yourself into my heart. So let's go within. I want you to feel your feet on the floor, but now I want you to put on your red ruby slippers. And if you're not comfortable, I get it. Not everybody can visualize red ruby slippers on their feet. Maybe blue suede shoes, whichever suits you, right? Click your heels 3 times. And let's go home. Take a deep breath. And in this breath, if you choose, I dedicate my life to this light within me, to allow it to guide me. I trust it completely. I trust it completely. Knowing that right where I am, it is guiding me, protecting me, showing me the way. It's providing me with ideas, the next step that I must take. Through whatever fear, doubt, or worry, I step using this light of God that guides me. I surrender to it. I allow it to have full sway. And here I rest in this safe place of home, knowing that love, the givingness of God, is always, always, everywhere, all the time, in every single millisecond. This love is giving to me always. It's moving through every cell of my body temple. It's radiating out through each and every one of us. Because every part is of the whole. Get that? Every part is of the whole. Nothing is left out of this love. Nothing is left out of this love. We feel this unification. We feel our oneness with this. My goodness, it's God. It is having its way. This divine creative intelligence that hangs the stars and spins this earth, that created these atoms that are far older than I want to be, but am, an immortal, eternal soul. Bless this spacesuit. Terry Cole Whitaker used to call it that. My spacesuit, this body temple. I'm grateful for the way it carries me through this evolutionary process that I am a witness to, but I am also an active participant. How can I serve? And where do I see this grace? I see it everywhere. In every blade of grass, every flower that blooms, every bird that sings. Every note carries with it this grace of love, of excellence, of magic. And with this trust, I am home. To this place of unconditional, non-judgmental point of awareness. This unconditional, non-judgmental point of awareness. Awareness is our non-judgmental observation of what is. And it is all good, and it is all God. And so in the first and final, I'm grateful. Yeah. Reverend Michael has put this now at the beginning of the prayer practice, gratitude. I am grateful for everything that is, and everything that is not, and for everything that is yet to be, that is held in the mind of God, that we let free as we sit, as we choose to dedicate our lives to sitting in the silence for 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, a miraculous, luxurious 2 hours. Love that. To allow it to reveal itself, to come home. So for all that is revealing itself now, I am so grateful. And I look forward to the magic. Thank you.
All right, well, we're going to say our prayer for protection, and then we're going to form a circle and sing our peace song as I wrap it up, and then you go have yourself a wonderful rest of your Sunday. So if you would stand, we will say our last prayer here. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is.
Where I live, there are rain.